Hey everybody, Shane here from Vulgar Display Gaming, and I'm joined by Norman Skinner, the frontman of the legendary thrash metal band Forbidden. And we're about to talk about their return to the scene and how awesome it is. So Norman, thanks for being here, brother. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, bro.
Of course. Again, this is simply awesome because I never expected to even see Forbidden live, and I caught you guys at Hell's Heroes, and it was a phenomenal set.
Yeah, that was a fun little festival. Like leading up to it, we heard that it was one of the up and coming fests, and it had the European vibe, and a lot of true metal fans, not just a lot of as some of the guys would call them looky loos. People are like, ooh, I'm gonna go to a festival.
Exactly. This was like a kind of a hardcore festival. You're going here, you know all the bands. How did you feel that compared to like some of the European fests when you guys played like Alcatraz?
I mean, it was cool. It had a very similar vibe, but it was a little more maybe honed in, right? It was like, this is thrash and traditional and some death metal and stuff. As versus Alcatraz, as those fests get a little
That's
bigger,
kind of all
they'll
over
pull
the
in
place.
some other stuff that you might not give a crap about. You know what I mean? I remember by the end of I think it was the last night Alcatraz, there was some like pop thing going on. Like, what the hell is this? So. I appreciated the more dialed in
Focused.
festival. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I love that too. But one thing that sucked was like, oh my god, I got to go to this stage right now. Like running back and forth. Luckily, the two were close together, but it was
Right.
nonstop. Like, I think between the last 2 days, I missed only like 4 bands just because I was like, I need to eat.
Right. they had a good setup, man. Those food trucks were on point.
Oh yeah, like especially did you eat Willows in the corner?
I did.
Willows is
I got
really
the whole
good.
pork.
That's
really
all.
good.
Yeah, that's all I lived off of for like the 4 days I was in Texas was Lone Star beer and barbecue. so, so
now
I just
you're a real Texan, I guess.
right. I guess. So I just want to get back into it. I know you've been asked like a million times, but what was it like even being asked to join Forbidden? Because I know you were like acquaintances with everybody, growing up in the Bay Area. You used to see them back in the day. You all knew about each other, but how did this all come to fruition?
Yeah, I think it was more I knew about them than they knew about me. I was I was about like 6 years younger than everybody else in the band, and I did see them when I was really young, like 17, 18 years old for the first time, and then my solo band Skinner opened up for Forbidden once on the reunion in around like 2010ish or something, as did my and then a Magica actually opened up for them as well. Right around the same time. So there was like a couple of years. It was like 1 year, we opened up for them, and then 2 years again we opened up for them before they went away. But yeah, when I got the call, it was a shock. I personally, like everyone else, was not expecting Forbidden to ever get back together.
Yeah.
It was like it was done. They already did a reunion, and how many times can you keep trying to make it happen? So as a fan, I was just like, well, hey, at least I got this Omega Wave album. I'm actually wearing the shirt.
Yeah.
I just throw on whatever in the morning. This just happened to be I grabbed a Forbidden shirt today. But yeah, man, I had this cool Omega Wave album, and I was like, and I got to see them on that tour and open up for them a couple times. I was like, there's that. And then, I was never expecting the call. Never, not in a million years.
I know, and the thing is too, this isn't being billed as a reunion. This is like a whole new iteration of Forbidden, which is like carrying on the legacy, but doing it so well. And like your voice is simply phenomenal. I think you're doing Russ Anderson justice. Like
Definitely. I love that they branded it a rebirth. I mean,
it's not a reunion.
If they were to use the word reunion, I think there'd be a lot of pushback from fans.
Yeah, so. But it's just a new iteration of Forbidden, and it's great. And we're hoping all the fans are like, oh my god, like we're getting like, more stuff now, and hopefully a whole nother tour and all of that. So yeah, when you first saw Forbidden back at the Omni, like when you were a kid, like I think like you were saying that Russ would call you like Little Russ and stuff, point at you in shows.
It was just it was one time I believe. Honestly, I can't even recall if it was Russ or one of the guys in the band, but somebody pointed and was like, "Oh, little Russ."
Yeah.
And then it got brought up again later when I was opening up, I think, for them with the Magica. So I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you were little Russ." But I didn't sing back then at all. I mean, I think I might have had like some garage bands, and I was doing some Metallica covers and with some friends, and just but I wasn't serious about anything. So it just yeah. But I was blown away when I first saw them. I mean, I just started going to club shows. Like my parents would let me go out with my friends. Some of us had a car, you know what I mean? And then we'd start hitting up these club shows where you had to be like at least like 16 or older or something. And I saw them, and they were just wild, man. The singer Russ was just belting. I'm like, holy crap! And they're just flying around. There's hair everywhere, and I'm just like, this is awesome.
And you were like, I want to be a part of this. This is what I want to do.
At that point, I was just enjoying it, man. Checking out for girls,
Right?
just being a teenager. So.
I mean, isn't it cool that it went full circle though? You're like, oh my god, like I remember seeing them as a kid, and now like I'm here, like.
Yeah, it's I walk a fine line between most of the time I'm just like it's just I'm in another band and I'm making sure got my stuff on point, and we're meeting for rehearsals and doing business, and then there's every once in a while where it just kind of hits. It's like you're in Forbidden, dude. You're not just in a band. You're in a band that you owned their music, you've owned their merchandise, you've seen them live. It's a big bump up from where I had been in the trenches. So yeah, it just depends. Sometimes it hits hard, and I'm like, oh wow,
That's awesome. So, like, listening to some of your other bands, what was like your early music career? You said you're playing garage bands, and I can tell that you're a huge traditional heavy metal fan and like power metal fan from your work. So who are your biggest influences in those aspects?
It's I started out just finding LPs and 8-track tapes and stuff way back that I think my mom's boyfriends would leave around the house and things. So I first heard like Kiss and Black Sabbath and stuff like that. All through the 80s, I had no older friends or older siblings, so it was just MTV. So I got a heavy dose of glam metal. So I was pretty much a hair metal dude because it's really all I kind of knew that I was submitted with.
Hair metal, I have a Steeler album right here.
that is hair metal. But and I don't knock it. I still listen to a lot of it. I mean, it's what I grew up with. But it wasn't until high school, end of junior high school, where I remember showing up to school wearing a Poison shirt, and these other metalheads were like, "What the hell, dude?" And I was like, "What?" And then their tone and everything changed as soon as they realized I was just not familiar or exposed to all these bands. So I became the guinea pig, man. They would make me those mixtapes, and they'd be like, "Dude, check this out. Oh, you're gonna love this," And they just wanted me to hear all this other stuff, and that's where it all just kind of exploded for music. My mixtape would have everything from Fate's Warning to Obituary to Faith No More to Death Angel. Just across the board. There'd be Dream Theater in there.
Yeah.
Just they were like, let's get this guy more into metal and see what he likes. But as far as singing, once I actually dove in and stuff, I think I'm definitely some of my influences, for traditional stuff. You got Halford, right? Mm-hmm. Old Crimson Glory, Midnight, guys like that. And then, I'm a huge power metal fan. I love like Rausch Sheepers from Primal Fear. My favorite band of all time still right now is Evergrey. They're, like Scandinavian melodic prog. I don't know what they are, but I love a lot of heavy power metal. I love like Mystic Prophecy, Brainstorm. I love Manimal. I like to delve into some of the Scandinavian bands like Soilwork, Mercenary, In Flames. So that's kind of the wheelhouse of where I mainly listen to. Now, not to discredit thrash. I still listen to a lot of thrash. I love Bay Area thrash.
Oh yeah.
Testament, Heathen, Death Angel. I love, Creator, Onslaught, stuff that's not Bay Area. So think I'm well rounded for the most part.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, that's the thing with like most metalheads. Right? God, like once you start listening to one band, then you go off on like a whole tangent down that hole, and then they're like, "Whoa, look!
Right.
If you like this, you'll like this," and then you're like, "Well, okay, hold on, I can't pick up that many vinyls right now."
right. Yeah, I'm just I'm non-apologetic. If you're in my car and something comes on, it's like, hey, dude, you didn't know you were gonna be listening to Winger, right?
That's what people say to me. I have like the most eclectic taste. I got like Sabaton stuff, Testament to like obscure black metal to Maiden to
Right.
Steelers.
You like what you like,
Exactly.
right? You like what you like. It's all metal in some form or another. I don't like gatekeepers,
No,
right? I think that's what we call them. I don't like that, man.
Yeah.
Don't bag on somebody for their musical taste. Just be like, all right, it's a little different than mine.
And that's the funny thing too. Some of these most brutal bands people like to gatekeep. I'm like, you do realize they were influenced by like Kiss or like influenced by like this band that you don't like, and they're like, what?
Right.
So it's
Exactly.
like, all these artists were inspired and started somewhere, and not everybody started listening to just Metallica or like anything else,
Right. Exactly.
So anyway, like with those influences in mind, how do you like use that to shape some of the stuff you want to write currently? You're like, oh man, like I really like this like the inspiration's coming at you from all angles, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. A lot of people, I think that's why I got the nickname long time ago. Somebody in the press in an interview did an interview, and then they nicknamed me the Metal Chameleon. And then some other journalist put it in there, and then another person, and then it just kind of went on. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. I would never come up with that, but they say that because I like to change the way I sing, and I can be in different kinds of bands, and within a song, if I'm doing this thing one minute, and
Your
then I'm doing
range
that.
is incredible,
It's just I really liked like Mike Patton, right, from Faith No More.
Love
That guy would
Mike.
change his voice and do weird off the wall things that just fit.
Mhm.
And then I would listen to bands like AC/DC. Well, I love AC/DC,
It's a
but if you heard
similar
one
tone
album, you
hold.
pretty much know what the rest are going to sound
Mhm.
like. I'd rather each, have every album sound just slightly different. Be able to do different things in different songs. So I always have kept that in mind. I want dynamics. I want peaks and valleys, and I try to do that in everything I do. So
Yeah, because as I was listening to some Skinner stuff and Naveen stuff, like those are, you would say similar, but completely different at the same time with your tones and like the lyrical, content, and again with your range and everything. And it's great. You can't say that, oh no, they're similar. No, it's both completely different, and I absolutely love it.
yeah, I definitely I definitely changed it. Like for instance, in Navayan and that band, it's power metal, so I get to do a lot of the epic war and
Yes,
blah blah blah
I
stuff.
love it.
Right? But in Skinner, it's like I can get a little more into
Grounded.
yeah, things from emotional spaces and whatnot. So yeah, but that's another thing. If you can do different types of lyrical content, it also helps separate what you're doing.
So, and then here's something I want to bring up. As I was watching some of your music videos, it seems like you love storytelling. Like, I like the Fire in the Sky video. That was a really cool one. And then it was just, I just had it pulled up in all my notes. It was slipping away real quick. Okay, forgive me. Is it Naveen or Niveen?
We pronounce it Navayan.
Navayan. Okay.
Now, yeah,
That's on
and
my part. Thank you.
right, and it took me 4 months to pronounce it right, and I was in the band. Found out later, even after we recorded the song on the second album, Navayan, people from Europe, they're like, you're mispronouncing that, right? It's supposed to be Nivian, and we're like, well, we're American, so we're just gonna own it. We already wrote a song. It's Navayan. So I never correct anybody on the way. We've heard every iteration. We just let it be.
Well, thank you. Because I want to say I love the video for Psychomantium too. It's just like telling this like these different stories. Like, you got one like about aliens, and then you got one about like a man trying to bring back his dead wife and everything.
I'm very big on so all the music videos that I've done with any of my bands, I've been sort of the head person for direction, and everyone just sort of gives me the go ahead. They're like, oh, we see what your vision is, go for it. And I've been lucky enough to work with some good directors and stuff, but I like to go big. I don't want to
Yeah.
just be in a warehouse rocking out to a song.
Yeah,
It's like,
it seems
let's
like
get some sort of story. Let's
that's like
make
your
it
first
purpose.
video, you know? That's fine for your first one,
Yeah,
but you can't do it for every other song, you know?
exactly. But yeah, I do. I love to tell good stories with lyrics and with videos and stuff. Yeah.
So okay, so you grew up in the era. I caught it like as a kid watching the reruns of Headbangers Ball and stuff. Do you think music videos still play a part in music in general? Because it seems like it's just they're like you're all doing them for fun now, really. You know?
Yeah, I think you're. God, that's such a gray area, right? Like,
Mhm.
the part of me sees analytics from our YouTube channels and stuff, and sees that the music videos themselves get a lot more views than
Yes,
like the
yes.
playlists and whatnot. So it's like, and so it's like
It's-
yeah, it's still a tool to gain followers, but you are
Traction.
absolutely right. A lot of it is just self-indulgent, being let's make a music video.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it is fun.
I don't want that. I'm not against them. Please, I love music videos. I love good storytelling. I absolutely love these productions. Some of these bands you guys are doing. You know, I hope you guys do some cool new stuff too. You
Yep.
know, but again, it's just like I mean, there's not really a metal channel playing it now. Everybody has them on their own channels, but still, it's
Right.
good. It's great advertisement. Brings
I think
people.
we're missing that. We need a good metal channel again,
Hey,
or at
right
least
here.
a music,
Right
or at
here.
least a right, or at least a good music broadcast channel that will dedicate
Just
blocks
to
of time
play.
to metal.
Exactly. I mean, hey,
Something.
that could be like another whole YouTube channel or something, because I don't think that's going to play on mainstream TV anytime soon, you know?
Right. The only problem is, just getting those rights and stuff.
Yeah. That
They make it
seems
so
like-
difficult.
Yeah, that seems like it's a lot more complicated nowadays that everybody because now a lot of these music groups, they all have these rights because you have different streaming platforms, you have different rights to all of this, and that. And like, I'm pretty sure it's a loophole and a half to try to jump through some of these, you know?
I'd agree. Yeah.
So, and again, as we've been talking about some of your other bands, you've been involved with so many bands over the years. I just want to go over a few because I'm
Sure.
like, man, like your resume is pretty stacked. Some of your past bands were Dire Peril, Machine Called Man, Consequence of Chaos. What is this? Tramontane?
Yeah.
Same
Tramontane. That was my
Tramontane.
first real band. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Utopian Trap. And then those are your past bands, and right now you're currently, well, I haven't seen that they've been inactive. Magica.
Divine.
Divine, Hellscream, and now Forbidden, and then Skinner. How do you even balance like all these different kinds of projects? You know,
Yeah, it's. I mean, some of those are actually inactive.
Okay.
What's funny is it's like that's got to be the metal encyclopedia site. I'm guessing,
yes,
right?
yes. Like I've
Yeah,
been trying to
like-
get as much information as I can.
Right. Like Utopian Trap. I was in that band
Not very long.
less than a year. I
Yeah.
wrote one song that they kept.
Yeah.
That another singer sang. So it's like, but they list me. Consequence,
Still on your resume.
Consequence
you
of
can
Chaos.
toss it on there.
Which one?
You can still toss it on your resume.
I guess Consequence of Chaos. I never released anything, or I was just writing a few songs
Yeah,
with them,
that
and
was demos. Yeah.
yeah, and I never even recorded anything. And I was just like, they just kept revamping stuff, and I'm like, I'm out. But
Yeah.
somehow it gets listed as a band I was in.
Yeah.
But yeah, but currently, Hellscream, I don't really see anything ever happening with that. And we did 2 albums. It was a studio thing. The drummers in KK's Priest now, guitar player, and the rest of the guys are doing 3 Tremors, or sometimes, they're obviously Cage. So there's really no time for that. And Magica was my longtime band. We did our reunion in 2019 for one more album. It's never officially disbanded or anything, and I always keep the door open. Last I talked with them, I said, if we ever want to do a single here or maybe an EP or something, I'm still down for
That's
it.
cool.
So that
Keep it open.
that's kept open. But for active bands and how I balance them, to kind of answer your question, there has to be a hierarchy. Period. Everyone in each band needs to know this is where we sit on the totem pole. Otherwise, people get butt hurt and whatnot. And by day I'm a project manager, so I'm very much good at managing time and projects. So obviously, Forbidden's number one. That if something gets scheduled Forbidden, and I already had something sort of lined up that wasn't contracted, that gets bumped. That's the way it is. And everyone's understanding about that. They're like, well, it's a much bigger band than we are. Then Nevian is definitely active. That is my power metal baby. We have our 3rd album right now.
That just came out. Yeah.
No, not yet. It's we're
Oh,
talking
wait,
to
yeah.
labels. It's done, but
Oh,
it has not been released. But we're hoping to have it released by the end of the year. New
great.
more music videos, more the whole thing. So round three of that is coming. Skinner is the one I just released about it,
Yes, yes.
literally a year ago. Um, I have sort of an EP written, or at least started, but it's going to be a while. And then the EP is honestly, it's a way more mellow. It's going to be sort of my mellow EP for people that like the softer side of Norman. So we'll see. But I just do something different. And then of course I have a fourth project that well, I haven't released a lot of information about this one, but it's a it's more of a symphonic metal,
Nice.
progressive metal, power metal project with and it's a lot of guest singers, a lot of different musicians. I have 4 6-song EPs ready to go,
Wow.
and we'll be recording the first of those first 4 this year. So it's concept story that just goes from album to album.
Oh, that's
Uh,
awesome. I love
yeah,
that. I love storytelling, and if you could do that in a episodic kind of thing, I'm
yep.
sold.
There's songs I don't even sing on,
That's
but I write the lyrics and the melodies and stuff. So it's just it's a project I've been working on for just under a decade and been
wow.
compiling it, and now it's ready. I was ready to pull the trigger, so
That's
I'm going to move forward with
awesome.
it. Yeah,
I'm definitely looking forward to that.
and that's just a recording project too. Also, it's easy. If you don't like Skinner, I don't play out with Skinner. I'm not going to play out with this new one. Forbidden plays out.
Mhm,
Navian plays out locally.
mhm.
If somebody wants to offer us a festival gig or something, we can fit it in. That'd be fantastic. But that's how I do it. If I was in 4 full-time bands, I'm trying to manage tours, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. So as of right now, Forbidden's the main one, and
Right.
then you're hopefully you guys are gearing up for a larger tour, maybe. Hopefully.
No, I can tell you that's not in the cards right now. And mainly because to do big tours, it's a lot of money. A few of us have jobs that we just can't get all that time off from,
Yeah.
and whatnot. And the fact is, playing these festival circuits is just smarter.
Mhm.
Honestly, you're gonna play for large amounts of people,
Sell
here and there.
probably way more merch.
Yeah, just kind of just it's more like just bam, bam. But aside from that, I know that the album, the festivals this year, writing the album this year, by the end of the year, they want to be in the studio recording. Um, Beyond that, I'm guessing to 2025 will be more festivals, maybe some short tour stints. Who
Yeah. At
knows?
least the West Coast tour. I mean,
Yeah,
I
things
would
like
like
that
one,
are
please.
pretty easy, right?
you know.
But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but bringing up, you guys are actually going to start recording a new album and everything. So my question to that is, how are you guys going to, what are the themes and overall images and sound you're going to go for this one while keeping it true to that Forbidden, sound, but like, come on, refreshing it, making it new, innovations, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've so far I've just heard the songs they've been putting together when I would go down there and to the rehearsal studio, and like tonight I'm going to be down there. I'm going to listen to what they've been working on. And as Craig puts it, it's very twisted into form meets Omega Wave.
Mm,
So it's kind of like feels from those 2 albums, with some little modern touches thrown in. Kantos is very groove oriented as a thrash drummer, which is cool. So it gets a good feel, but the stuff sounds crushing and heavy to me. There's no lyrics done yet. There's no melodies done yet. Craig and I, or I guess we're still figuring out how to work that out, because I mean, my albums, I've never really shared lyric duty. It's like, give me the music, I'll come up with the concepts, I'll write all the lyrics, melodies busted out, here we go, ready to go, and I move quick. But I know that in the past, a lot of the concepts, the and the visuals and everything has come from Craig working with Russ. So I definitely want him involved, so it keeps that similar feel. But we've never worked together like that, and that's coming up. So we're in the point where we're going to have to figure it out. I'm not used to it. He is, so it's going to be a little different.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
tossing ideas back and forth. Say, all right, are we
right.
going to have an overall theme to the album, or are we going to have just certain songs go off of that?
Exactly. Or it's like, if they want to, maybe we'll test the waters. Give me a couple songs, just let me run with them.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
then he
you can
goes
always do
back
that
and
too.
forth, edit and everything. But
Yeah, you see what you like, what you don't like. Yeah, so we'll see. And plus the fact that I am mainly a power metal dude, now I'm going to be recording a very much a more thrash album, and I haven't really done that since my earlier Magica stuff. We got some really thrashy stuff, but so it's going to be,
yeah, you're like, I want to write about war and like dragons and stuff. And they're like,
yeah, like wait a
yeah."
second, I'm gonna have to, yeah, I'm gonna figure that out. So,
No, that's great. So, like, with all this going on, and you said you even are a project manager and everything, what are some of your hobbies outside of just music and all of this? Do you even have free time at this point?
it's very rare. For my own mental health, I do try to make time for myself. Um, I don't. Music really takes a chunk of it, besides family time and whatnot.
Oh, of
But
course, that's important too.
yeah, I do. I do every once. So I like to things I like to do for me. I like to watch movies, lots of movies, lots of TV. I stay up way too late. I watch too many shows. Um, Gaming, if I do game, I have a computer here in my office, and the games I play, and I play two games every once in a while. They're old games. One's called Total War. It's
Total War.
Rome. So I still like to play that, and another one was called Cossacks, Back to War and stuff.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
So those are the kind of games where it's like
So you're an RTS guy. You like controlling the.
I like control strategy. Yes.
You ever play Company of Heroes?
I have not.
That's a World War II one you might want to check out, where you control like different armies and everything. Same along the same lines. RTS.
I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, if you like
But then if we're going-
historical things.
I do. So if we're going to tap into my real inner nerd,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see behind me, but it's part of my collection. I collect vintage Masters of the Universe,
Nice.
all the stuff. So I have this whole office here is just full of
Oh, that's
1980s He-Man stuff, and then of course I'm missing about 4, but I have like I think every Masters of the Universe Pop Funko made except for like 4 as well. So
Nice.
but yeah, that's my inner child nerd right there, man.
Did you watch any of the new shows that came out?
I did watch the Netflix.
What'd you think
Was it
of it?
Revelations? Yeah, that's different. It was. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was just a new He-Man show, and then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's some apocalyptic He-Man after the fact stuff, but it's pretty neat.
Right,
It's a different take.
Thought it was interesting, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping because now, well, see, I read a lot of comics, and if you're ever want to read some good comics, Image that did The Walking Dead just took over the like Hasbro licenses, so they're doing violent Transformers comics, violent GI Joe with Duke and Cobra Commander, and it's all in the same universe. So it's like GI Joe crossing over with Transformers, and
Wow.
it's really good. Like,
Man,
I recommend everybody to pick that up.
I used to hate GI Joe growing up because I would watch the
Oh,
cartoons.
Joe.
Well, it wasn't even that. I hell, I watched He-Man. I mean, that was way more.
We have the power.
Yeah, but I picked up really young. I'm like, wow, look at all the lasers flying everywhere. Nobody gets shot.
Yeah.
And there was only like one episode where there was like, this is what would happen if the bad guys won, and you see like their corpses and stuff. I was like, ooh, this is cool. But other than that, I kind of rushed off GI Joe because I was like, I don't like that, man. Look at all these lists. Someone's got to get shot in the head. Come on,
Exactly. They're going through war with all these people and nobody's dying.
nobody. Yeah. And then of course, talking about Transformers, when that movie came out, man, I was traumatized. That first like 5 minutes, like everyone's dying. What the hell's going on?
No, that's awesome. But yeah, so it's like, yeah, everybody's got their inner nerd, the things they collect, and that's awesome. See, because I'm hoping they redo a He-Man comic, like Image takes it too, and give me like a dark, violent He-Man
Oh,
comic.
they could. They got so many different characters and species of things. They could go nuts.
That's the thing. That show's a lot darker, and I'm like, is this really a kids show? It like Skeletor is like really demonic looking for children. I was like,
Right.
oh, like But what about were you a fan of the live action movie too?
No, I went. I was so excited. And I left so let down. And for years, they keep talking about how they're going to make a new one, and then they released a little CGI art clip of Battle Cat, and it looked so awesome. And I was like, this is going to be great. And it just keeps falling away. They keep losing their actors. It's just funding, and I'm just like, You know, with all the toy push and all these different shows, they should be able to gear up for something.
It seems like the toys and that stuff kind of makes more money. They're like, does everybody really want this anymore? But that's how I feel about a lot of these old IPs. Same with me. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I think we need an adult-oriented Star Wars movie because, I mean, hell,
It needs to all be it needs to all be like the end of Rogue One.
Exactly.
where Darth Vader just goes on a spree. I thought, to me, when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is a good movie. And then that ending, I was just like, oh my God, more of that, please.
That was like the first time you really saw Darth Vader do anything violent, you know?
Yeah, I was like, that's why he's so badass. Look, he just cutting through everybody.
But it again, coming back to Star Wars stuff, just in general with some of these IPs, then it gets all oversaturated. Like, I don't really like a lot of the new Star Wars TV shows, so it's just like,
Yeah, I've been watching them. Some they're hit and miss. I do like The Mandalorian.
that's cool. That's about
That's
the
pretty
only one that's
cool.
like on point right now.
Right. What was the other one I liked? Is it Andor? Andor?
Yeah, the heist one.
Yeah, that one's not bad because they had some good battle kind of scenes in
Yeah.
there. I was liking, but it's like, don't get too deep in the politics, man. Just give me the action.
It seems like that's what I want out of everything nowadays. I'm like, can I just like have something cool?
Yeah.
Have everything else in it, you know? But now moving back onto music, getting away from the nerdy stuff. Thank you.
Oh, well,
for
it's part of the
indulging me.
show, right?
Exactly. Thank you for indulging me. Like,
Yeah.
Now again with your bands with Forbidden back and they're playing live shows again, all these secret performances, that was kind of cool, threw people off, you know. And now it's
Right.
like, how do you think everybody's reacting to like, wow, this new lineup, everything, all these shows? It seems like there's been phenomenal, like great reaction so far.
Yeah, I've been really surprised myself. You know, I try not to look at too many of the comments and stuff, mainly because, you know, I can read 100 positive comments and read one bad one, and it still like hits, and I'll be like down, and I just need to know that that's always going to be there. So, but you know, I personally, you know, I've seen like 99.9% has been just phenomenal praise for the whole band and what we're doing, and you know, I think a lot of people are just mainly happy. They're like, I get to see one of my favorite bands again, and the new lineup is doing it justice to where when I hear it, I'm like, yes, this is what I want to hear. We just have to hope that we can also write a really good album that'll help carry this new iteration of the band forward. So,
And I'm sure you're gonna carve your own path again. It's not a reunion. This is a rebirth.
Right.
This is a new era of Forbidden. And you're doing it justice, and I can't wait to see what comes out of this. But again, when you were talking about, you know, all the comments and all of that, what is your advice to like some of these newer bands coming up dealing with like social media and everything? Just because it seems like you have to have that nowadays. I hate it, but
You
at
do.
the same time, it's just like, God.
yeah, we here I'll lift the veil a little bit from, you know, let you see the behind the curtain. So like, for instance, my band Nevayan, we did an initial shopping of the album through a company, our new one, and we only got a couple deals, and they weren't any good. So we passed on them. And some of the bigger labels actually did reply to us, which they didn't have to, saying, "This album's really good. Your band is really good, but you do not have the social following or the streams or any of the counts necessary for us to take you on. Build on that." So it's you. So that right there was a big eye opener. So, you know, with the next couple months, we're going to embark on this full social media planning and content, and we're just going to really, really work on it, because we were doing it old school. We were like, yeah, we'll do some music videos, and work with PR here and there. And just, nope. You absolutely have to have full social media going on to make it, especially if you're not already established.
Yeah, because it's not like back in the day where you just toss up a flyer on the pole, like, hey, go see us here, you know,
Right.
and then your music carries by word of mouth. It's almost as if you're invisible if you do not have a social media presence nowadays.
Yeah, you could be the best band in the world and it don't matter.
Yeah, so that's just one thing that's tough, because now bands are like their own PR people. It's like, God, like we just want to make music, but now we have to learn all this other stuff too.
Right, and that takes so much time too. So, you know, yep, it's the way things are.
And then especially with that, like you're saying, dealing with these big labels and everything, how do you think the current like era of touring is? It seems like it's gotten so much harder.
It is. It's way more expensive. Before it's like, hey, we're gonna hit the road because we need to make our money. Now it's like, well, we're gonna hit the road.
Yeah.
Are we going to make money? We're gonna break even. Is it worth it? How much can we pay for everything? I mean, between gas and the logistics, and if you want to put on a big show, I mean, then you gotta have extra crew and all this stage stuff, and it just, that's why I see a lot of bands that'll come through on a tour, and it's like minimal merch, which is fail number one. It's like you should have as much merch as possible, but it's like a backdrop or something. You don't see them bringing big stage shows or trying because it's so expensive.
It's just rough because I even have buddies who are like playing in local bands. One of my buddies' bands actually he's supporting Exhorder and Violence right now, and they're just like,
Okay.
we have to hit all these little shows to get to that tour in order to make like money, because it's just like hell. It's like if you're not stopping in each and every city, like that's pretty much gas money.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, some of my earlier tours, we were like, hey, can we break even? That's where we were at. Can we break even? Because then we'll just think of it as a metal playing vacation.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not costing us money to do this. And most of the time, that's exactly what happened. We would barely break even or make we'd split the money at the end. Everyone got like $12 for the tour,
Hey,
things
that's
like
better
that.
than losing $12, right?
Exactly. So that was the whole thing. We just never, mainly with Nevian, we just really didn't want to lose money. The last tour with Magic, I remember I walked away shortly afterwards when I left in 2010. We had finished a tour that I didn't want to do. And at the end of the tour, on top of all the expenses, I remember I had to write the band a check for $650 on top of everything else, because we had lost so much money doing the tour. And yeah, it's rough, man.
I mean, just to close out on that, how do you what would you tell a band to hey, just hang in there, or fuck, it's kind of discouraging, right? You want to keep making your music, but to support it at the same time, it's getting only harder.
Yeah, I would say focus on making the music and making the content. Right back to the social media, because you can grow your global presence without even leaving your city. So at least get that kind of going, and then once it starts growing, then see if you're able to jump on a buy-on that makes sense, or you're able to do a little West Coast and kind of step out of your footprint. But first, see if you can get the fans first. A lot of bands try to do it the old way. Oh, let's go hit the road. We're going to go play the city in Oregon, and then we're going to get Oregon fans. Well, you might make a few that were happen to be at that show. You have it's better to try to hit the audience digitally first.
Yeah.
And then they'll be excited. Oh, they're coming here. I listen to this band.
Same with all right, because I love album art, and I absolutely love just art. What's your take on just this whole thing with bands trying to cut corners doing AI art and everything? Do you think art still makes it? If I see a good album, sometimes the art's really cool. I'm I'm picking this up before I even listen to it sometimes, just because I love the art.
Yeah. So at first, I'm a big fan of album art, and then I would see when they first doing some of the CGI stuff. I think I know Iron Maiden did a couple. I think they did was Dance to the Dead or whatever, and that looked so bad. And I saw someone, I was like, dude, I'm absolutely not about that. I've actually seen some of the AI artwork, and I'm like, wow, that looks great.
So it's getting pretty good.
Yeah, I think we're in an era now where we're not going to be able to tell if somebody hand drew, painted it, or it was generated.
It's tough.
But it will save bands money if they're able to just have a little thing and put together AR, and it's like, ooh, I don't have to pay $2,000 for a high-end artist to do my cover. So there's that.
Yeah, I get it. There's I have friends that are artists. And I'm I still want to support them, so I have them.
Oh, absolutely.
Stuff for me, it's just.
I mean, it's also way better if you have an artist to work with, because AI, you can only type in certain sentences and hope it gets you what you want. An artist, you can be like, I want this. Can you tweak that? Blah blah blah, and you can get exactly what you want. So there's arguments to be made on both sides, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
again, the new world.
Exactly, right? So I want to close all this off talking about beyond the upcoming album and tour dates. festival dates and everything. What are the future plans and ambitions do you have for Forbidden, like as a band? How do you guys see yourselves evolving within the next year and going forward?
Well, the hope is, I mean, right now, it's accepted. Right now, we just get getting a lot of festival offers, show offers, and we're pretty much in accept or reject mode. Can we do it? Do we have the time? Does it fit in with our plans? Right. A lot of writing in between these shows, and that's another reason why we don't want to play every show, because we need time to write. We need time to get this album going. So the idea is to get the album going, release it, full social media push, right? Just get it out there, get the new Forbidden out, see what everyone thinks of it, and hopefully that pushes us up and bumps us up a few more levels to where we're getting higher slots on the festivals. We're getting tour offers that make sense for everybody, and whatnot. But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's really just like any other band. We're just climbing the ladder one rung at a time. It just happens that we're not down near the bottom. These guys are already established, so got a nice high foothold. But there's still a lot of climbing that we could do, and there's a lot of ambition that we have in the camp.
And I can see this being more focused, and you guys are all like, "Now we're ready to go," and I'm excited for the future of Forbidden. I urge everybody watching this, if they're playing a festival near you, please check them out. They are definitely not a band to miss. So I appreciate you talking to me today and taking the time, Norman.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm definitely, everybody check out all of his other stuff. I'll link everything down below so we know where to follow you guys at, find everything at.
Sweet. Yeah, I got a lot. I think I got like 17 albums out or something over my career. So
exactly.
There's a lot of good, bad, and embarrassing stuff to hear. So
hey, but that's your entire career. You can see and you learn from it, and you're like, hey, this is how I grew.
Mm-hmm.